the way that the president would come across or could present himself to the jury as a sort of sympathetic elderly man with a poor memory, which is not the image that Biden wants. Now he's in election year, and he and his staff are constantly trying to crush the idea that he's losing his mental acuity. But the evidence before everybody over the course of the last 3 years is that he really is.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with Editor-in-Chief Hugo Gurdon. Hugo, we're now about a week out from Special Counsel Robert Hur releasing his report on the findings of his classified documents investigation of Joe Biden, and the effects of his findings are still reverberating. How enduring do you think this whole episode is going to be?
It could reverberate considerably further because Congress, the House Republicans, would like Hur to testify and therefore repeat some of the things that he said in his report. The report itself was extremely damning of Biden, not because Hur decided to prosecute him, and indeed Hur decided not to prosecute him, but he gave reasons why he would not prosecute, and that the principal reason was the president's the way that the president would come across or could present himself to the jury as a sort of sympathetic elderly man with a poor memory, which is not the image that Biden wants. Now he's in election year, and he and his staff are constantly trying to crush the idea that he's losing his mental acuity. But the evidence before everybody over the course of the last 3 years is that he really is.
As you just mentioned, Hur is potentially preparing to testify on Capitol Hill. Before we started taping, we were just kind of talking about the Mueller hearing. And I sort of remember that ended up being a disappointment for Democrats because
Right.
Mueller didn't really confirm a lot of of their accusations. Do you think that the Hur report the Hur testimony could be similarly disappointing for Republicans?
It could be, and I think that one of the reasons why it might be is that contrary to the accusations of Democrats and the Biden team now who are trying to present Hur as acutely political, being a Republican and wanting to go after the president, the truth is that Hur has simply done his job and explained to the Attorney General why he would not prosecute, and that the president's mental state was part of that. I suspect that in testimony, the special counsel will be very careful not to come across as confirming points that have nothing to do with his investigation into Biden. Obviously, the House Republicans will want to present Biden in the worst possible light. It's probable that Hur would not go along with that in every way and would simply say, I had to decide whether or not to prosecute, and the reason that I decided it would not be a good idea because I wouldn't secure a conviction is that the president might present him in this way which was sympathetic to the jury.
You cited some of the criticisms about Robert Hur, and we've heard this from Democrats that he, stretched the limits of Justice Department rules or he acted in a partisan manner. What do you make of those criticisms versus the way that criticizing Special Counsel Jack Smith has been sort of put out of the bounds of political discourse?
Well, yeah, there is an interesting contrast there. There are a lot of Democrats and indeed people on the White House team trying to make Hur look very partisan. And there was rather fanciful and extraordinary comment that Robert Hur shouldn't have said what he did because he's not a neurologist and doesn't know anything about memory. But in fact, he was legally obliged to give the reasons. So there was a lot of partisan criticism of him. It's interesting that, as you say, Jack Smith is, he is trying to rush the prosecution of Donald Trump. He's constantly saying that it's very important to get this done. Of course, what he's trying to do is secure a conviction before the election. It has become, as you say, something which people say he should not be prosecuted because he's just a prosecutor doing his job. He should not be criticized for doing that. But he never says, I need to get this done before the election, which is, of course, is what everybody thinks that he's trying to do.
That's right. Well, Hugo, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more writing from Hugo and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.